Supreme Chancellor Obi-Wan Kenobi by Stone Freak! Chapter 52 Emergency Council Meeting. When Shakti returned to Coruscant, she had not expected anything remotely as dire as an explosion in the Senate, injuring several senators and staff, killing 2, and leaving Master Kenobi in a critical condition, to happen. In fact, she had expected it to go much like usual. A standard in-person council meeting, sharing information that cannot be done over a channel, no matter how secure, and then ultimately returning to Kamino to keep training the troops. She's watching her peers, the tension in the room palpable, when her attention is drawn to the council chamber doors opening.
"Return to see you have, masters,"
Master Yoda says as Kit Fisto and Plo Koon take their seats in the council chamber.
Yes, the Knights investigating with the judicial forces have the situation at the Senate under control now,
Koon says with a small nod before he smooths out his tunic. Is there any news to be had about Master Kenobi? Fisto says, his head tilted to the side, big eyes unblinking.
No yet,
Windu says with a shake of his head.
Master Che still has him in surgery. However, we must decide our next step quickly before this explodes all over the holonet.
Shak has little doubt about what their next step needs to be. We must alert our own before the news reaches them from any other source, she says, twinning her fingers in her lap. The situation is delicate, but they cannot risk bad or incorrect information reaching the Jedi and troops in the field before they've heard the news from the temple itself. Especially not Knight Skywalker.
Agreed.
Koon leans back in his chair.
Incorrect information could cause a tremendous loss of morale, not to mention stir up fear and hurt. Master Kenobi is well liked among us.
There's also the situation regarding Nat Skywalker. No one has ever claimed that Shakti shies away from difficult topics.
"Take the news well, he will not."
Master Yoda's ears droop, and despite sitting down, he leans heavily on his staff, looking far older than Shak has ever seen him do. Unsurprising, considering what has been uncovered about his Padawan ship, Tin says grimly, eyes dark and mouth turned down in an almost snarl. Shak understands his feelings well. The knowledge that someone, possibly even multiple someones, was deliberately sabotaging at least one Jedi youngling's upbringing, disrupting temple affairs, and possibly causing the death of an unknown amount of Jedi stirs anger in her guts. She breathes deeply and lets it go for now. It is in the past, and no amount of anger can change it. All they can do is move forward and work to prevent further damage to the Order, the current younglings, and Knight Skywalker, as much as is possible. He's done his duty as a Jedi well enough, despite the interference. He does not always act as we may expect or hope for, and he has always kept his own counsel, but he's not the only Jedi to be such. All things considered, Ali looks pensive, stroking her chin and glancing around the room. I believe he deserves extra consideration for the current happenings. Silence descends. Shak considers the thought. Extra consideration for a student of an injured master is given during the Padawanship and, if possible, even the first years of knighthood. Skywalker has left those first years behind and has a Padawan of his own now. However, considering the circumstances surrounding Skywalker and Kenobi, Shak is prepared to offer it to the man still despite it all. Of course, young Tano needs consideration as well. She too will be heavily impacted should Master Kenobi return to the Force. All Padawans are a community effort, though the Masters hold the ultimate responsibility. However, Master Kenobi has been more than just one member of the community. To her, they all know it.
I will speak to him directly,
Windu says resolutely.
We can send a recorded message to most of the station Jedi containing whatever information we decide is pertinent, but I believe it's best if one of us delivers the news directly to Skywalker.
It is not a bad idea, that. It would also allow them to gauge his reaction to the news. I can record a message for the generals and commanders, she offers. The troopers know her well. Many of them will likely find comfort in it being her delivering the news. What little comfort she can offer, she will.
One for young Skywalker. Spoken to directly enough, it may not be,
Master Yoda says, his ears drooping. Shak considers the words. He's not wrong at all. Receiving an actual comm instead of a recorded message is certainly extra consideration, but the pain caused by the situation may be more than what such a gesture can soothe. Will he be able to do his duty? Kolar says, leaning forward in his seat, chin resting on his steepled hands. This time the silence that stretches is chilled, strained. Shak closes her eyes and leans back with a sigh, mulling over Kolar's question. Can Skywalker do his duty knowing his former master might die? Will he be able to put it out of his mind, put the good of the galaxy above his own wish to be there, should his master return to the Force? She can't say. She doesn't know. She cannot predict Skywalker's response.
Know that? We do not.
Master Yoda's right. There's no way for them to know if Knight Skywalker can do it, just like there's no way for them to know when it comes to anyone beyond themselves. He's been cleared for duty, and he's done it well, with some hiccups, and that's all they can base their decision on. So what do we do? Fisto crosses his arms over his chest, having stated the million-critic question.
Given the choice, perhaps we should.
The choice? What choice? Shaka frowns and looks around at the others. In the Force, she feels that she's not the only one confused by the Grandmaster's words. She mulls them over. Perhaps we should give Skywalker the choice. The choice. A specific choice. Regarding what? It hits her like a runaway speeder, and she barely refrains from smiling at the simplicity of Master Yoda's solution. If we let Skywalker choose whether or not to continue his mission, depending on if he feels he can do his duty to the best of his ability under the circumstances, then we must have a backup plan should he decide to abort the mission and return to Coruscant. He sees comprehension dawn in the other faces around her and murmurs and nods, soon sweep through the room. The silence that follows is contemplative, and it is Ali who breaks it, looking up from a datapad. Master Unduli and her fleet are in a nearby system awaiting new orders. If Knight Skywalker chooses to retreat, she would be close enough to take over without any significant delay, especially if Knight Skywalker sends her his intel and backup plans. Or murmurs, nods of agreement. The Force hums with what Shakti would like to interpret as approval.
All agreed then.
Windu finally says.
We'll let Skywalker decide himself if he can complete his mission or if he needs to return to Coruscant.
Nods.
Learn to let go. Young Skywalker has not yet. Learn it he will, once the knighting of his Padawan arrives. And as all Jedi Masters must. For now, allow this. We will.
We missed the sabotage of his apprenticeship. Dealing with the fallout of it appropriately and with compassion is the least we could do.
Poon says. Which is true. If an outsider is constantly involving themselves in ruining a Padawanship, possibly even in ways they have not yet discovered, then how can the proper teachings take root? That Skywalker has learned as much as he has is a testament to his skill and dedication, and the dedication of his teacher. It certainly doesn't help that he came from a disadvantaged situation at an older age. She has long wondered if perhaps Skywalker's personality was simply entirely unsuited to be a Jedi. She has seen his struggles with many of the teachings after all. But perhaps it is not. Perhaps the sabotage is the core reason. She cannot know for certain. None of them can. After all, not everyone is suited to the life of a Jedi, sabotage or no sabotage. Perhaps the sabotage has simply enhanced an incompatibility that already existed. They cannot know. But the kindest thing to do is to move forward while treating Skywalker kindly and laying the blame on the sabotage for now. Perhaps once they've discovered the mastermind behind it all, perhaps they can move forward and Skywalker can heal and find his place in the world calmly and securely, wherever that may be.
As time is of the essence, I will excuse myself now to make the call to Skywalker. Excuse me.
Mace Windu bows shortly and swiftly leaves the room, likely heading for the communication center. I believe I should make the recording for the rest of us and our troops then. What information should be included? A short discussion later, Shock leaves the chamber with a sense of conviction. Even should they lose Master Kenobi now, all his hard work will not be for naught. They will not let the Order, the Republic, and the Gar fall apart. They will not.